Hi, welcome to Coping Mechanisms, a show where we talk about difficult things while making adorable drawings. It's like a blankie for adults. I'm your host, Kat Randall, and today I'm talking with my husband, Colin, again.
Hey, everybody.
And we are talking about atonement.
Atonement.
Atonement. Not just an Oscar bait movie, but
Which one was that?
it was Keira Knightley and um, sexy Scottish boy. What's his name?
Sexist Scottish boy.
Sexy.
Sexy, okay.
I don't know if he's sexist. God, no, please
Please,
don't let him.
another
no,
one?
No, not another. Okay, well, that's a good tie-in to what we're talking about. So I'm gonna admit right now, that we've tried to record this a number of times, and it's been hard. And I think one of the reasons that it's been hard is that I'm angry.
Okay.
And I want to be fair, and I want to be, and I want to talk about these things in a way that's accessible to people. And I think anger kind of turns people off. So I'm exercising a lot of self-censorship, and that it's, I I need to kind of admit at the offset that I'm mad about a lot of the things that are happening right now in terms of sexual assault and harassment.
I think there's every reason to be very upset about what's been happening.
Well, yes, I wouldn't be married to you if you didn't.
Well, okay.
Let's be clear about that.
Okie dokie. Glad I ticked that box.
Yes, you got that one good.
Huzzah.
Well done.
I don't need a pat on the back for being upset about things, but thanks.
You're welcome. So, yeah, I just kind of wanted to admit that I am angry about these things. And so any attempt by me to kind of downplay that emotional response is admittedly, to everyone watching, all the millions of viewers that we have.
Hundreds of millions.
Hundreds of millions of
Hey,
viewers.
everybody.
Hey, everybody. How's your world? Is that, yes, I'm mad about this. And
Okay.
so if I have, if I'm self-censoring, I apologize, but that's what's happening. But...
Well, I do want to dig a little bit deeper into what you're angry about. But can we address this angry animal?
Angry
that you're,
animal? Yes, it's not okay. It's not a complete angry animal. It is okay. I mean, this one is. There's gonna be it's a composition this time. No, I wanted to draw a badger today because I don't know what happened there. Because I am a proud Hufflepuff. This is a Harry Potter thing.
Okay, Harry Potter, yes.
Harry Potter, yes. I'm a proud Hufflepuff.
That's a house, right?
It's a house.
Okay.
And they believe in fairness and justice and equality, and they're fierce and loyal friends. And their sigil is a badger.
So this is an angry badger.
This is a badger. A mama bear badger.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. They're not bears, but yeah, a mama badger.
Sure.
So I wanted to get the cuteness of a badger, but also the fierceness of a badger. So that's what we're going for.
Gotcha.
Yes.
So
Anyhow.
what is it that you are angry about?
What is it that I'm angry about?
In regards to atonement, to the issue of atonement.
Yes. So I think it's important for us as a culture to move beyond this sort of black and white understanding of how to deal with criminal behavior, how to deal with how to deal with behavior that we as a society do not accept.
Okay.
Right? And that tags into our death penalty conversation, because that's an example of the extreme of, like, this is a punishment that cannot be reversed. This is is
Yes.
death,
Right.
right? Um, and then, so that's like the lights off approach.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the lights on approach, which is just like, forgiveness, like without consequence, without, uh, you know, any sort of demands for a process of redemption
Right.
or anything like that.
Or forgetting.
Or forgetting, yeah,
Yeah.
forgetting or brushing it under the rug or that sort of thing. Um, yeah, so there's two extremes here, and I find it frustrating, and I think that there's a huge double standard in who gets what approach.
Right. Okay. So you have like the death penalty on one side, which we normally reserve for people who murder, right?
Well, not just people who murder, but it is largely, there's a racial disparity, a huge racial disparity in
Sure,
who
yes.
gets the death penalty.
Right. Who is
Um,
accused of murder, who gets convicted of murder, yes.
and
But
even those that get convicted of murder, who who do we seek the death penalty for, and who do we not?
right.
I mean, that's also a disparity.
Yes.
Um, but at the same time, I don't believe in the death penalty, and
Right.
I don't believe in retribution as a system of justice. I don't believe in ostracizing people for forever. I don't believe in the felony checkbox on the I don't believe that you are forever defined by your worst behavior, right?
Right.
I believe that there is a capacity for change in every person, but we don't really talk about what that entails.
Mm-hmm.
And so when in circumstances like all the sexual harassers and sexual predators that we're talking about right now, there is very much it's an easy understanding of what that process looks like.
Right. I think I see.
Um, and we don't really recognize what it is that it requires. Like what does it actually require to forgive somebody?
Mm.
What does it actually require to demonstrate change as a person?
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I think I see, yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Because you as a person have forgiven people in your life.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. I believe in forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that people can be better. I don't think that there's any one thing that you can do that can invalidate you as a person.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think there's always room for change and growth.
Yeah. So what does that process look like? And how can we tell? Because I think we're good at it in interpersonal relationships, but I think applying it in general to sort of cultural things, we have a harder time of identifying what that looks like and what is required.
Mm-hmm.
So we get all these apology statements
Right. Many,
coming
many
out right now.
apologies. So we're talking about the sexual harassment.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we get all these apology statements.
Yep.
And it seems like there is, so between Al Franken and Louis C.K., it seems like there is a one gets forgiven more so than another, right?
We're talking about Al here.
Al gets a pass. He doesn't get a pass. I don't think that he's gotten a pass, and I don't think he deserves a pass. I think he's been forgiven specifically by the woman in question, but I think by a lot of people who admire Al Franken, myself included, we have a place for that forgiveness to
Sure.
live.
Yes.
You
I
know,
understand.
we've made a place for that to a space for that to happen.
Right.
I think it'll take a little bit more work on his part to fully get there, but I think he's doing good.
He's starting.
He's
Yes.
starting
Okay.
and he's doing good. But Louis C.K. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
And why is that? What is the difference there?
Right.
So what for you? What is the difference there? Because I think you feel largely the same way, right?
Yeah. I think part of it has to do with the fact that um, for, I don't know, the past probably like 10 years, people have talked about Louis might not be the most safe person to be around if you're a woman. Like there have been these rumors floating around about his behavior towards women in his life
Mm-hmm.
that he has constantly sort of denied or decided not to talk about and said the rumors and I'm not going to address them. So this is a
Yeah.
pattern, a long-standing pattern of behavior that went unacknowledged until it reached a breaking point and he had to acknowledge it,
Yeah.
right? And then
Yeah.
in Al Franken's case, we have at least one account, and I don't know, maybe by the time we publish this, there will be more, who knows? But right now, we have at least one account where he did some pretty heinous stuff, but it doesn't seem to gel with a pattern of behavior.
Yeah.
And so that I think is one sort of key difference here.
Yes.
Yeah, I think there's also, Franken has been working as, so it's clear here, to be clear, so in 2006 when this incident with Al Franken occurred, he was still a full-time comedian.
He was
He
not a
was
sitting
not he
senator.
was not a sitting senator.
Yeah.
But if you look at his record as a senator, it kind of makes this behavior all the more shocking because
He's been
he's
so like, yes, he's been such a champion of women's rights and of holding men like Louis C.K. accountable
right,
for that sort of behavior and,
right,
and improving laws to help women actually hold men like that accountable. Yeah,
right.
I,
That's a huge difference.
it's a huge
Right there.
difference. Whereas I think so, Louis C.K. falls into this category where he's used his understanding. I think he very not very well, but like he adequately described what was wrong with his behavior in his apology statement. But he's been describing that for a long time
Oh, the
in his
patterns of
comedy.
sort of men
Yeah,
routinely abusing women.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
he seems to have been aware of the kind of power imbalances and the kind of despicable things that men can do to the women in their lives.
yeah, he's used that as comedy,
Right.
like fodder, for a very long time, and yet he was still while he was doing this.
Right.
So I think that requires a little bit more time and evidence of changed behavior, and I think that's the next sort of step is that like yeah, you acknowledge what you did first off without any expectations um, of the person that you're apologizing to. I think that's a very important aspect of an apology.
Right. One, I would add to that not just the person to whom you're apologizing, but also just the general public.
Yeah.
Right. You don't apologize with the immediate expectation that you'll get patted on the back and say, "Oh, thank you for acknowledging that what you did is wrong. Good job.
Yeah.
Here's a treat," sort of thing. Like
Yeah. Like
you just need to sit in that apology and anticipate that people are going to be angry and should be angry, and they might be angry for quite some time.
yeah, and they might not be willing you to give you the benefit of the doubt in
They
the
might not
future.
accept your apology immediately.
Yeah.
And nor should they.
Yeah. Um, so that's an important aspect to a a genuine apology and a genuine admission of guilt, right?
Right.
Second, I think in that is understanding what the problem is. And this is again like this is what Louis did, but there are other problems with what Louis did.
Sure.
But like that versus say Brock Turner, who blamed sex on campus
Right.
or yeah, sexual promiscuity for
Just a
rape.
culture of
A
promiscuity. Right.
culture of promiscuity is blamed for raping a girl. Like
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know,
on its face, that's pretty suspect. But
yeah. Or Harvey Weinstein who blames sex addiction, which we can talk about.
Oh God,
That's a whole other episode
yes.
of. Anyhow.
Spoiler: we don't believe in sex addiction.
Yeah, sex addiction is bullshit.
Pucky. Something.
Yes, something like that. So, so yeah, an admission of guilt, a recognition of like what it is that was wrong about what you did, and genuine contrition, and that's hard to put a finger on what that looks like, but one of the things is getting the problem right.
Mm-hmm.
Is another really important part of how we measure someone's genuine kind of contrition, I guess. The other thing is just time, like the time that it takes to kind of demonstrate change, demonstrate changed behavior, demonstrate changed outlooks and perspectives.
Right, because this doesn't happen overnight, and the only way to prove that you've had some sort of change of behavior is to do these things for quite some time. Right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And the only way to earn the benefit of the doubt back is to be consistent, and be genuine about your commitment to being a different person.
Right.
So, our cat is deciding to join in on the fun today.
Crawling over my shoulder right now.
You know, he likes nothing more than a shoulder.
Oh, there he is.
There he goes. Yeah. So, I mean, that's to me what it looks like. That's the process that it requires, and how do you like apply that to, say, our criminal justice system?
Right, which doesn't operate on the idea that people can be better.
It can be rehabilitated in any way, shape, or form. Right. Yeah, it doesn't operate on that. So how do you... And one of the reasons that it doesn't is because that's considered to be, like, you know, soft on crime, or too lenient, or like not taking a victim's pain into consideration, and that's how it gets sold or that's how it gets demonized in the political realm.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing that kills me about that. Have you ever tried to change a behavior? Like even something innocuous, like your freaking diet.
Sure, yes.
Was it easy?
No, it's not easy.
No, it was really hard.
Yes.
Is it like and for things that are more like, you know, embedded in your psychology and probably embedded in some form of trauma or shame or a sense of, like, it's painful.
Right.
Like, it can be really painful to change behavior like that.
Absolutely.
And so, like, I'm sorry, like, right now we have a system where, like, someone can be in jail for, like, the injustice of the system encourages people to, like, well, I don't know if it encourages, but, like, it discourages people from actually considering their own wrongdoing, right? And instead, like, they can just focus on the wrongdoing of the system.
Right.
The wrongs against them.
Or it's some sort of tit for tat wherein it's a transactional relationship where I robbed a person, so that means that I pay X years into a system of imprisonment, and once I pay those years, that's just time. It's time from my life, and then once that time is gone, then I'm back to
that we're
on an even keel.
We're on an even keel, and I don't have to change anything.
Yeah, I'm in the black, and I don't have to change sort of my outlook. I don't have to really necessarily reflect on my patterns of behavior or anything like that. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. That makes sense to me.
Yeah. That's it's the okay, this is not a blackout. I'm not blacking out the whole.
Oh yes, I was kind of wondering.
They're not, I'm just doing a background. I'll erase around it.
Okay, so we're not
We're
just
there. I'm
completely.
not. I know. I'm not.
Yeah. Well,
Basically.
so here's the other thought that I
Mm.
had, and one of the reasons why I think this kind of a system is so hard to change from one that is sort of retribution oriented to rehabilitation oriented
Mm-hmm.
is that one thing that retribution, that things like the death penalty, things like mandatory minimum sentencing, these
Mm-hmm.
kinds of things is it creates a system that we can then look at and say these people are excluded from um, what it means to be a citizen, what it means to be a good person. It sort of
Mm-hmm.
labels them as not us,
Yes.
but as soon as you move to a system that says you can be better, then we all have to acknowledge the potential for us to commit these kinds of crimes.
Yeah. But like we can.
Shh, nobody wants to think about that.
But like it's important that we do.
I don't disagree, but I think that's the reason why it's so difficult to move towards that, right? It's
Yeah.
easier to think about people as villains
I
or
get, yeah, and I think that that's part of what's happening in this conversation around the sexual harassment stuff, where it's like, you know, um, people do want to ostracize to a certain extent. They want to exercise that ostracization sort of outlook because they don't want to actually admit how complicit they may have been, you know, in this
right,
sort of behavior.
right. Either they're complicit or maybe from like a male perspective, I couldn't possibly be that kind of a person. So
Yeah.
if I just
Oh my god,
fume and
it's
fuss and
so
fight, then I'm
so
proving the
infuriating.
fact that I'm not the kind of person who would do that. I'm not
Yeah,
that
it's this
kind of a man.
performative version of anger and vitriol, and it's just so obnoxious.
Yeah,
Like
I mean that could be a whole episode,
that's
I
a
think.
whole other thing. But yeah. Anyhow, I just kind of wanted to talk about this. I wanted to talk about at least start this conversation. I think, there are a lot of different ways that we can talk about this and different examples of how this plays into, certain injustices, certain imbalances. Um,
Hmm. So we're only scratching the surface.
yeah, this is
Yes.
a huge, long topic, and it's something I feel really strongly about. But obviously, otherwise I wouldn't have been so angry all weekend, really. I'm sorry.
No, you don't have to apologize.
um, One thing I want to make absolutely clear is that I think anybody who is afraid that we are actually exercising this sort of this toss them out sort of uh, no forgiveness mentality on the men in question, that's a false fear. Like Mel Gibson just got nominated for an Academy Award. Casey Affleck is giving out Best Actress Award. Like these men are not gone for forever. Like I don't believe that that is going to happen, not even for a second. Um, so, and then only I think in the case of Bill Cosby, maybe in the case of Harvey Weinstein, we've yet to see. Like, has there even been any criminal prosecution? This is not like I want to talk about forgiveness and rehabilitation within the criminal justice system, but that is a separate conversation from what's happening right now because right now that's not we haven't even entered into the criminal justice system. We are only dealing with it on a cultural level, and And I think that that's an important distinction to make, and I think it's one that people seem to forget about,
Right.
at least right now. Anyhow, this is probably the first in a number of episodes that will maybe kind of talk about different aspects of this topic. Um, but in the meantime, how are you doing?
Me?
Yeah,
Oh, I'm fine. How are you?
okay. I'm better.
Better?
Yeah,
That's good.
it's important to get some things off your chest sometimes.
I agree.
So yeah, I'm fine,
I'm fine. Yeah.
ish.
I like the Badger family.
Yeah, I think the baby badgers are fine because they got a mama badger looking after them.
Oh, they're gonna be fine.
They're gonna be fine. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.